Hi everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis updated commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, uh, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. I'll interject my financial opinions as we go through it together. If you need help with anything, check out finding-value.com. That's where I dive deeper into all of these topics, looking for potential investment opportunities, weighing the risks, weighing the rewards, looking at the market conditions, which we do a little bit here together, and fully share my opinions about individual companies. If that sounds interesting, we have a Mayday coupon code, MAYDAY, it's one word. You get 50% off the first month, and you get a larger. You can always switch from a monthly to a yearly if you'd like. All right, so let's dive in here and take a look and see what's going on today. DXY, a little bit weaker today. We're getting a little bit of pressure, downward pressure on the dollar. We're at a real interesting location. We've got a trend line, which is resistance support coming through here. We've broken out. And is this the potential retest where we could roll on over? That is the question that everyone has on their mind. What's going to cause that? A lowering of interest rates is what would cause that rollover. So let's go look at interest rates. 2-year, it's down 0.7%, but it's too early to tell if this is rolling over yet. To me, this still looks good to go higher, and it hasn't rolled over yet. Doesn't mean it can't. I'm just saying it hasn't yet. There's your breakdown there, and perhaps we come up and roll on over at some point. That's what we're all watching. So it still looks good to go higher. I don't see the rollover yet. We've got the 10-year yield down a little bit. And again, this still looks good to go higher. I don't see a reversal candlestick. I don't see that rollover yet. And that could occur very quickly. It could occur the next trading day. We are up against a lot of resistance that is above us. All this resistance up here, you've got the resistance from this trend line and that trend line going up. But we haven't rolled over yet. So patience. And then the 30 year is above all of that resistance. It broke through this resistance and that resistance and is sitting on top of now support. There it is, sitting on top of support. So that's got a lot further to go if we're going to break back down through all that support. That's where we're sitting with yields. TYX, TNX ratio, it's still coming on down, and the curve is inverting. Yeah, it's inverting with the 30-year going down more than the 10-year. It does look like we've got some sort of shoulder head shoulder thing going on here. But I mean, that's generally not what you see during a recession. So some weird movements going on with the TYX, TNX ratio. This usually goes up, and precious metals usually just go ballistic. We've got TLT. It's up a little bit today. We're at this resistance, support, cross-section of everything here. I don't know which direction this is going to go. We're just going to wait and see. There's too much action going on here with trend lines. It's like a big convergence point. The 2-year, 10-year, this is so weird, guys. So this looks like it wants to invert, but it also looks like the dollar wants to drop. And it also looks like the 2 and the 10 still want to go up. I mean, none of this really matches, guys. I mean, this just screams that something's going on in the background here because nothing really matches. We've got gold down $44 an ounce. Usually when you get these reversals, you get a strong selling pressure move with good follow through. But why is this coming back up? You know, we're coming back up here. So we'll see what happens. Is this a reversal candlestick? It's close. It could be. It might not be. These trends are strong, and when you get this much momentum behind it, these small one-day big selling pressure days do not necessarily constitute a trend reversal yet. So we got to see follow through if this is going to head lower. Silver also getting shellacked You got to like that. But again, we're above everything, guys. We are above everything. That accounts for something. We're above all this support. We broke out of that. We have all of the positive characteristics of, a nice flag pattern. Everything looks good to go higher. And yeah, we did get some selling pressure today. Is it going to trade next? Are we going to get follow through where we could come back and maybe retest this over here? Or are we going to hold here at support going across, hold through here, and work our way on up? I mean, I think everything's intact for the move higher. So don't cream your pants here. Don't soil them because you're afraid. Don't do anything. Just be patient. Let's see what happens. Everything still looks good to me. Platinum getting us some selling pressure. We do have a little bit of buying pressure towards the end of the day. There it is coming on up towards the end of the day. We'll see what this looks like next couple trading sessions. We do have a low. We have a higher low. And now maybe we are creating another higher low. We'll have to wait and see. Palladium down 2.6. This just looks like a retest to me. It doesn't look bad. We've broken out of all of this resistance down here with a fat, large candlestick, might you add. And now we're coming back. So we squeezed up, little wick at the top. Boom, boom, boom. We're probably going to come back and do a retest and then take off. So that's kind of what I'm seeing at this moment. And that could change very quickly depending on the market action. So GDX is down 2.84%. We do have a little wick at the bottom. It still looks good. We're in this, I don't know, upward facing. Let me see if I can find the channel here. I don't really do channels that often. So maybe it's a regression trend, maybe. So maybe it's something like that. We've got this trend going up, so that looks pretty good. Here's my trend that you guys get. GDXJ doing something very similar. I don't think this is that bad. We're getting these wicks at the bottom. Those are not that weak of a candlestick. It means that buyers are coming in and buying it up. SILJ is getting the same thing. We get these wicks at the bottom. So I don't think it looks that bad. We are above a lot of support going across. And, I'm not convinced that this looks that bad. It looks fine. So looking at the mining companies, looking at the physical metals, everything looks okay. Yes, we did get some selling pressure today. And then we still haven't broken any important trend lines. We're still tightly in here, and we've got a huge runway of valuation to go up for gold and silver mining companies against gold. So it's the best thing I can do is just say, do nothing. Do nothing and wait and see what happens. Crude oil up 2.8%. I know they were releasing some news about some sort of strikes or something like that. Looks like some people jumped on it. I'm sure they'll hit it tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. They can't have oil going up during an election, time frame. So we'll see what happens at 8:30 a.m. tomorrow, just shortly after 8:30. 8:30 to 9 o'clock a.m. tomorrow. Let's see what happens during that time frame. TTF gas down about 5%. We've got lots of volatility all across the board here. Let me delete this and let me see if we're back and holding. Still looks good to go higher. It is a pretty large down candlestick. We'll see if the support holds, but it could be a retest. We've got natural gas in America down 4.85%, up against resistance. There's that resistance going across. We'll see what happens. We do have this ugly looking gap too there. And I think that was a contract rollover day, which it is. We got XOP. Yeah, you know me. A little bit of a reversal candlestick. I'm a little bit confused on what's going on here. We've got selling pressure in XOP, like they don't want this to break out at all. We've got oil going up at the same time that XOP is going down. What is going on here? Like, it is all sorts of weird. OIH did end up today, and that's holding its ground where it's at. We are below this support resistance level that we've broken to the downside. So we'll see where this goes. A lot of it hinges on oil price, natural gas price. Newcastle coal futures down just a little bit. I think it looks good to try to go higher at this resistance area. We're just underneath it, so I don't think it looks bad. I think it looks good, and everything still looks intact. We've got the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust down just a skosh. Momentum is still to the downside. We've got uranium futures down just a tad, down 0.19, still looks okay. We've got URA down a little bit, 1.8%, right on support. We've got URNM down with a wick at the bottom, and we're at support going sideways. We've got URNJ also with a little wick at the bottom at support. We'll see if it holds. Copper just moving sideways, almost like it's being held in place. Buyers equal to sellers in the dead period. We've got COPX down just a skosh underneath its falling wedge. Kind of interesting that it was down. Kind of a weird day today, to be honest, guys. Iron ore down 1%. It's still holding steady in this action, this basic sideways action squeezing up in the corner there. Aluminum up a teeny bit, but still underneath that pesky resistance line. We've got nickel down a little bit. This has just been getting hit day after day after day. Small little down days here. Boom, 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 boom. But it's back at that support level going across. We've got Mu down a little bit more. And I still think this looks good. Whenever you fall on these small little candlesticks, that's not a bad move. You don't want to fall like you're free falling. You don't want big red candlesticks coming down with tons of volume and force. This is just nice, easy kind of pulling on back like the sellers are almost done. Emerging markets down a little bit. We had a falling wedge ready to break to the upside, but today ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. And we're still above support. I can put in a better trend line for that support area that I will leave in there. Up 1.44%, right up against support. There we are. It does have a bearish tinge to this because whenever you face upward like this, you can squeeze on out, get down here. So this could be a false throw over top. We also have some big red candlesticks showing up. We'll see what occurs. TAN up 2.42%. I'm not sure how this is even possible. Everything else is getting smoked, but I guess solar's in flavor here. We've got lithium moving sideways. It's holding on. And this had a monster pullback here. We could throw a trend line on this, and that's what we're trying to break is that trend line. And I think we'll get it. We'll get it. It's got support here. We're up against support, coming up into resistance. REMX doing something really similar to lithium. It's right up against it, and we can see that we are up. Well, actually, let me see here. Let's see how close I put this. It's real close here, guys. It's real close to breaking out, much like lithium. Baltic Dry Index heading a little bit lower. We've had a lot of selling pressure in the Baltic Dry Index and some of the energy service names. I mean, they've been like dropping like a rock, drop it like a, something like that. But they've been dropping here, and we'll see if we can get some support. XHB falling a little bit. It's holding on right where it's at. Just been moving sideways. We'll see what occurs. This is a hammer candlestick with small selling pressure next to it. So it's trying to turn here, but I'm not saying it will turn. It's trying. Russell getting smoked, 1.63% down. We're still above support, but this is where I'm seeing, a little bit of selling pressure. Russell's not too bad, but the S&P 500, this is getting a little bit elongated here. We gapped down, and then we sold off, and then we also closed towards its lows. So there's the gap down, and then you can see it come up. Things are upward facing, broke down, and then large selling pressure towards the end of the day. So we could still see more selling pressure in the S&P 500 to the downside. NASDAQ also getting shellacked. Bearish engulfing, bearish engulfing. We could easily head lower here. It's not looking pretty. This could also drag down some of our commodities, which I think it very well could. If it does, I'm a buyer. I'm a buyer, and I'll be looking at things that are trying to bottom in other sectors. But this could drag it down for a period of time. SMCI getting smoked down 12%. I'm sure these guys are totally legit. I'm sure they're running a very tight ship. As Ernst & Young auditor said, no way, Jose, you guys are not Julio. And there we are selling off because the market is catching a whiff of that. NVIDIA also selling off. Looks like the plunge protection team is not doing its job. This is an uptrend line, boys. Uptrend. You better get on it, guys. You don't want to break through these uptrend lines, but we're getting close. We'll see. Bitcoin also selling off. It had to join the mix. This still looks okay. We are still above support, but we don't want to come down and rip through that support level. That's something to watch. But this is a big pattern. We could run a long way up if this all holds together. Ethereum down 5%. That's also selling off. A lot of stuff sold off today, guys. It was kind of indiscriminate selling, but apparently solar companies are something that everybody wants, but we are selling off here. And here's something else to check here, guys. Here's the VIX. See this VIX starting to break to the upside? This is no bueno. This is no bueno. Every time you get these big moves, let me put the S&P 500 under here, guys. Oh, goodness. I did not mean to click the middle one. I wanted the new pane. Come on. Come on. What am I doing here? All right. New pane. So when this thing spikes like this, that's when you get these downward pullbacks right there. And then you see another VIX spike. Let's go find another spikeage. Here's another spikeage. So that occurred here. And that was the COVID crash. COVID crash was right there. We had another one where the VIX spiked. That was that Japanese yen carry trade that everybody was talking about. And what do we have here? We've got another breakout to the upside for the VIX. This also correlates with us rolling over. We can also look at the S&P, this bottom one, and we can just draw a simple trend line. Doesn't look good, boys and girls. Doesn't look good. Rising wedge and then the break out of that wedge. So I'm not here to scare anybody. I'm just saying that this is a potential pullback, and we could see further selling pressure across the board in the S&P 500. Potentially, it carries over the NASDAQ. We do have, I'm talking about a lot of rising wedges here. We also have a false throwover top. Guys, this does not look good for the composite index. That looks like it wants to head lower. We can also do some cool charting of the gold to NASDAQ. This is gold to NASDAQ. What do we see here? This is just one big double bottom. One big double bottom. And we can also look at it from this perspective, IXIC divided by gold. I don't know who likes looking at what better. This is another one that a lot of people use. We'll get the line chart so you guys can see it. But what I'm concerned, well, not really concerned with, what I'm looking at is these breaks. As we come up and we start to break out of these trend lines here. I'm doing this is non-logarithmic. Logarithmic, I don't really do much on logarithmic with ratios, but we can also throw this up here on log, and you can see that's broken in log on a ratio chart. When this breaks down, that's your big bullish, your bull market in commodities. So this is your big bull market in commodities here. And when this breaks down, it's your other bull market in commodities. Here's your other bull market here. So whenever you get these big pullbacks, those are your bull markets. We also had a bull market here too. So we're looking at a potential breakdown of the NASDAQ versus gold here. And that also correlates very well with commodity bull markets. At the beginning of these selling pressure moves, you can see things sell off and get dragged lower. What that deals with is margin calls, liquidity, all of those things can happen in the beginning of these turns. So are we turning? Kind of looks like it with the VIX going up. Kind of looks like it with the S&P 500. Looks like it with the NASDAQ. Looks like it with the NASDAQ to gold ratio. Guys, this is a lot of evidence stacking up here. As investors in commodities, we want to see this. This is where it's going to get fun. It's gonna be crappy in the beginning of this. Okay, I'll be honest. It's gonna yank us and pull us. We're gonna get lots of volatility. I'm gonna be a buyer. I'm gonna be a buyer when these things get yanked lower. The value's there. The balance sheets of energy service companies, they're already inflected, guys. They're inflecting, going higher. This is a sentiment change now. This is people getting fearful. This is what we look for. This is what we prepare for. This is why we listen to the earnings conference calls. This is why we do all the charting. This is why we know the market conditions and the cycles. This is why we know where the ratios are at. This is why we prepare. Because we're going to take advantage. If the fear gets kicked up and things sell off, we're going to take advantage of it. Now, is it advantaged? Is it the time to jump in right now? No one's going to nail it perfect. No one's going to nail it perfect, and I'm not going to sell out of my holdings. Ride this sucker higher, and I'm going to try to time my purchases as best as I can. Under these conditions, we'll probably see gold and silver do well. If they try to save this market, the S&P, the NASDAQ, if they try to save that, they're probably going to lower interest rates. If they lower interest rates, and the pressure has been building in interest rates over there to the upside, you're going to start to see QE. What are you seeing right now? They are doing QE. So what they're going to do is they're going to transfer pressure in the bond market and transfer it to the currency. You're going to see the dollar roll over. That's my guess. When we see that dollar roll over, boom, you're going to see gold take off. You're going to see commodities take off behind it. And that whole setup, just like 01, 02, 03, is all underway. It's going to take time. This isn't immediate. And the moves are going to be big when it starts to gain traction and people start to figure it out. So that's where I'm going to leave it. We've got a question and answer session coming up Sunday, 5 p.m. I'm going to talk about strategies, asymmetry, why it's part of the strategy. I am going to go over what we've gone over before with some of those companies and do that again. I also want to talk about some other things that I haven't covered before, and it deals with strategy. And I want to open a little bit of light into my head of why I choose things. Now, if you're a long-term member, you may know some of it already, but I'll keep diving into it, and I'll pose questions to people and deliver it in a way that I view things so that you can get my viewpoint on it. So we'll do that on the Sunday question and answer session. And there's also some other questions that people had that I think fit very well in with that. But that's what I've got for today, guys. So thumb up for the content, subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you guys later. This is Finding Value.